We are starting module 6. Welcome back, everybody. We just got done with the exam. I have not started grading yours soon, but it will shortly. This last week, they had not only your guys' exam, but the online class exam for CSCI 1 and CSCI 2. And their exams started earlier in the week than yours did. So I've been grading theirs. And I'm almost done with theirs. I'll be starting to grade your guys' probably on Sunday. And I will be definitely done before its drop date. You'll know how well you did. You'll know whether you coded something that works, whether or not you get full credit on it or not. Depends on whether you did everything that was asked. Hopefully so. This is the running around program I just used from what we had before. I had made it a template. I had showed you guys how to make a template with it. And I just did that. So this just has a run again program, the do while loop with this running in thing. It's not necessary to the presentation. It's just going to make it so we can see stuff faster. So I want to start off by talking about a string. So we can have a string, me equals David. In C, not C++, to do this, we needed to do an array of characters. So the way we indicate an array by using brackets, and we want to have a size in there. For character arrays, the array needs to be one number larger. And I'll show you pictorially why. So if I were to do this as a character array, maybe I'll call it capital me. I'm going to put brackets. And if I just give it, say what I want here, it should auto-populate it. So see out, this is me. And see out, this is char me. And let's see what happens. And I like having some more end lines in here. Give me a second to write it all down, type it up. And I didn't put the size in there. Let's see if it takes it on its own. Oh, I got stuck. Yeah. There's smarter and safer things to do with liquids around fucking computers. But I'm a rebel right now. And I'll fix that when it gets time. Does anyone need that up on the screen longer? Okay. Let's see what happens. This is me, David. Did I say David on one and Hebe on the other? I did. Well, let's fix that. Another way to get this same line, I'm going to comment this out. Is we're going to say char me. I'm going to tell it it's 5 in size. Now, what's going on here? Why 5, you might ask? So I've got my me, and it's pointing at Hefe. And Hefe is making something called an array, where I've got the J character here, the E character here, the F character here, the E character there. It needs a stop symbol. It's called the null terminated. It's a / and a 0. That's called it's a stop. It's a stop sign. We call it null terminated because it's the null symbol. My off screen? Oh, shit. I didn't know you guys could see the Zoom thing. That makes sense. You're seeing my screen. There you go. Thank you. The fucking Zoom thing's annoying. I'm sure there's a way to turn it off, but it's good to see who's here. Sometimes I need it. So me, actually, this first box is me 0. This box here is me 1. This box here is me 2. This box here is me 3 in brackets. And this box here is me 4. So these numbers here are called it's called an index. And plural would be indices.
It's pretty funny that an array of 5 is 0 through 4, and 0 is on the front, and the character 0 is in the back.
That is pretty funny.
Complicated.
Right? Now, I don't want you to think this is 0. I didn't enter a 0. It's definitely not a 0 because a 0 is a valid character. This is a null character. But notice array index notation starts at 0 in C++. Not every computer language does that. A lot of them start at 1, which has its pros. To me, in my head, is the more logical way of doing something. It's the first character, so it should go with number 1, but it's something to be aware of when you're working with indices or the indexes. What?
It makes sense with some math stuff.
It actually makes math stuff harder, in my opinion. You have to think about what number you're trying to generate if you're trying to use index like a variable for the index. You'll see what we're going to do today. Oh, I didn't want to stop hiding. What are you doing? There we go. So I can come in here and I can say me 0 equals J. Me 1 equals E. Me 2 equals F. Me 3 equals E. Me 4. Can I do this? Will it take it? I think it does. So this is another way of doing that same string. And I set it over on the paper, but I'm going to type it here. The number inside the bracket for each character is called the index and shows its position in the array. Positions start at 0, not 1. And now I'll show you even another way. We'll call it capital me. I'll do the bracket notation. And I can tell it all at once what I want each character to be. Using curly braces, commas, and characters have the quote single quotation mark. A third way. So this is, I'll do me 1, me 2. You're doing overwrite. Don't do overwrite. God damn it. There we go. I gotta fix this bucket overwrote. It overwrote up there too. Gosh darn it.
Is there a reason you capitalize that?
Because I have the string me up here.
Oh,
And I didn't want it to be confused. And we use the capital me. I guess I could do me 3 here. We'll do me 3. And we'll do this for each line. Do a C out and show that they're all the same. We'll call this Charmy 1, Charmy 2, Charmy 3. Maybe I'll call this one String Me. Give everyone a little bit of time to type it up. Oh, what is going on here? It doesn't like the null. You see that? Maybe we should try null instead. So instead of doing bracket or the /0, try typing null. Let's see if that does it. Or if I just have to eliminate it and let it be assumed. No, there we go. Okay, so like you generally want to tell it what size it's going to be. I'm going to put the 5s in. I'll leave that one clear to show that if you type it, it'll figure it out. If you don't type it, like it should get mad at me if I just say char u and just start it. And I can't, like, it doesn't like that. You see that it doesn't like that? It's got the red underscore. C++ must know the size of the array before the program runs. And here, I have not told it what it is. It can figure it out if I give it the letters and say, this is it. But if I don't give it the letters of what's going to be in it, and I don't tell it a size like I did here, see how it's getting all underlined? It's oh fuck, it even says must know the size of the array. Oh my God. No, they're typing what I typed. That's got to be what it is. There's no way I fucking randomly pick the words. Let's see, test. Yep, it's typing what I typed. I'm like, that's fucking creepy. So the way we can, you gotta have to know what's going to be in there. We will find a way past this later on. I'm going to comment this out because that didn't work. If or when, hopefully, when you're practicing this stuff, and if you look up a question on how to do something, it might show you vectors, which have an include vector. And when you do vectors, you will have like, you'll say vector and you'll say the data type like int. Don't do this for now. Don't touch vectors for now. You will have plenty of time later on in this semester and in CSCI 2 to explore vectors, but it's good to know how arrays work because arrays are quick and easy and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff works the same as an array. So if you look up questions on how to do it, you're like working on array homework and it shows you how to do a vector way, don't do the vector way. Like maybe change your Google search to include array, the word array. And if it says, why would you do it in array? It's because you're practicing arrays. Okay. So the way we get past, it can be annoying to type this size up and have to constantly edit it, especially if you have a bunch of them that are using it. I could do char u, and I could put in like a size. And like, let's say we're going to use 1. So I'm going to put in int size equals 5. And now it's okay with the size, but notice the description says expression must have a constant value. Arrays are not allowed to change size at runtime. Arrays cannot change size. It's one of their big limitations. But the way we get past it is we call it a constant.
You can't change it to something else later.
Correct. I can change it, but it's got to be another 4-letter word. So I was going to go with u equals, and he's not here anymore, 1. Why does that not like it? Let's try.
To get the length of a string. So like you take the input of something and you go, how long is that? And you set that to be a constant. And then you say this array is going to be this long, and then you can put the string in.
But if you're going to do this, you do put a string in already. Like if you're already typing it in and using it to calculate the size, why bother with making an array? Because the string is doing the same thing as I'm doing right now, right?
Okay.
So you generally want to know what's going to be head size, but let's be honest. This is called a C string for character arrays. Normally we wouldn't use a character array. We'll use arrays for numbers. Or strings even. Why does it not like this? Is it really good? Okay, let's try this. Oh, I know where I can show it. We'll do it up here. I'm going to copy this above that last line. I'm going to put it up here. Nope. Right there. Did I not? Let me do undo because I deleted something and didn't copy it. Cut. Paste. There we go. I'll do size here. That way I don't need another U vector or U array. So I moved that constant size up here and did it here rather than typing in the 5. I can make an array of strings. String sentence array. And I'll say it's 5. And I will define them. We'll have David is Professor Pepe. end line, bracket. Not bracket, semicolon. All right, now if I do something like this, I can do a C out and up top we had string me equals Hefe. So recall string me equals Hefe. So I'm going to just show how to access a single character in a string. I can do me, and if I want to pull out the F, what position is the F in? It's in the 2 position. Even though it's a third character, it's in the 2 position. So I can do C out me, and this pulls the third character, or the n-1 character if I put in an n. Now, if I want to do the same thing with the sentence array, if I want to get the same character, that is word number 4, which means it's in position 3. And then the actual Hefe is its own character array. And that was, we just said, in position 2. So this pulls 4th word, 3rd character. This is called a multi-dimensional array. We'll do more with this stuff next week.
You have an array where things you put it with are also arrays and have 3 sets of brackets.
Say that again?
You have an array that's filled with other arrays and 3 sets of brackets. So it's
Yep.
find array number 4, word to character 5.
You can definitely have a multi-dimensional, like more than 2-dimensional array. It's really hard to fucking draw. But yes.
It seems fun, but also so complicated. Like, why would you need to do that?
I'll give you a perfect example. Video footage. Each second or each pixel in time has an X position, a Y position on the screen. That's 2 dimensions. And we can add a 3rd dimension for timestamp. So you could reference any pixel on the screen at any timestamp.
The 4th one, if you're doing something with 3D stuff.
Exactly. So, and like when you're modeling stuff in a computer, my graduate work was on modeling the sun, a 3-dimensional object done like this. The sun, we did a slice of it, so it only looked we only looked at it as at 2 dimensions, but we did it over time. But you can very much model the sun in 3 dimensions. In another class, we had started doing that, where it's X, Y, Z components. This is something you'll explore more in Calculus 3, because you start doing 3-dimensional calculus and how you work with all that. But there are uses for it. You won't be doing them in this class.
Okay.
Because you're not in Calc 3, right?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Yeah.
You might be the only one. Fucking overachieving little MFer.
I took Calc 3.
Bravo. He's in Calc 3 right now. That's a bravo right there.
Thank you.
That's crazy. Are you taking it here? You must be taking it here.
Yeah.
Because I doubt the high school offers it.
I get to skip homeroom. It's in the morning.
Yeah. Well, with that, you're doing shit way harder than fucking whatever's in homeroom.
Yeah.
All right. Shit. Fucking Calc 3, Jesus. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
There's 3 dimensional, like you could for spherical, a star, you could go spherical, and you're still doing rho, theta, and phi. Have you done spherical yet? Yeah, do it.
Yes, that's when you have an angle for around the XY thing, and then
And an
another
angle
on top
off of the
the
z-axis. Yes,
and then a distance.
a distance.
That's how you get points.
Yeah. So you can do 3 dimensions in a spherical coordinate system for a star, which would probably be the better choice.
It would be weird to pick a random, okay, this direction is X, this direction is Y, and then have like back coordinate system when you could just have, okay, if you're standing on the sun, Earth is that direction.
Well, if you did XYZ, you're doing like, there's got to be flat planes. You're slicing up the star into planes. Like the equator is going to have the biggest flat area because it's the biggest slice of the sun. Near the tips, whichever way you go going up and down, you got the top of the sun is going to be a very small plane. So you'd have to, so you could do it, but all right, back to the class at hand. There are reasons for multidimensional arrays. We'll look at some stuff later on. You won't have a test on a multidimensional array, I'll tell you that. It's just more of to show you what's available. He's in fucking Calc 3 right now.
In Calc 3? Yeah. You should have been in this class a while ago.
He's in high school.
You're in high school?
Yeah. You can only do so much.
Oh yeah. Good for you, bro.
Right?
Yeah, that's keep at it, man. You'll be out of here. Like, I don't even think you'll have a chance to go in there.
Yeah, he'll
Biology in the summer, and then I get 2 associate's degrees. One for math and one for Spanish. Yeah.
you'll already be done with the associate's degree
At
at the same time you graduate high school, other than summer class.
Fast short, I've got to take biology in the summer.
That's
Still.
Oh yeah, that's impressive.
Jesus, you got 2 years of
Yeah,
fucking
we're
classes
doing
as an under.
I'm sorry.
None of you, I strongly, even though everyone is going to hear him say that he's doing this, don't compare yourself to him. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. I was telling my other classes yesterday. Everybody learns at different rates. Never compare yourself to someone else because there's always someone that's learning faster than you, learning ahead of you, and you're gonna be like, oh wow, I don't feel bright. And there's always someone that learns slower than you. And if you compare yourself to them and like I'm learning faster than him, you're just an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I've been that asshole. Don't do that.
And I compare myself to people that do get associate's degrees that need to do summer school afterwards, and I'm like, oh dang, I'm not learning as fast as them. Like,
Right.
There's always someone better.
Or got their degree, like, or it's not just an associate's, they've got their bachelor's by the time they're 16
Yeah.
because they're like prodigal students.
And honestly, like 90% of it was just getting a lucky set of parents. Like,
It's the fucking random luck of the gene pool draw. And having good parents to support it.
That's true.
Yeah, you can
didn't
be
learn
really
about, like-
smart and have no access to it.
Yeah, because I didn't learn about dual enrollment until like my very last semester, like in high school. And I was like, oh,
I'm gonna run this so you can see it.
good stuff, bro. That's impressive.
thank you.
Where did it go? Why is it pissed? Does it not like the null?
You forgot to do this. It's always a spot, but it's never like something.
MFer. Nope, that ain't it.
One, two, three, four.
Can I just get rid of that and it'll know it's null? Yeah, there we go. So this F is from the string me FA. The second F is going to word for character 3 to pull the F from David is Professor Hefe. Okay. We'll be going over addresses and stuff later on. If I wanted to show the whole sentence structure, I could do for int I equals 0. I less than or equal to or less than 5. I plus plus. That's not I plus plus. That's I plus plus. I can do C out sentence array I.
If you don't necessarily know that it's going to be something that's exactly 5 characters long or 4 because it's one for all, we do like we have it check if the fifth. You haven't checked the I thing in the array is null.
I like what you're thinking. We're going to do that kind of shit with vectors,
Okay.
but you have to know ahead of time with an array.
Okay.
Array, that is the biggest restriction on arrays. One of them. There's 2 major drawbacks to arrays. The first one is, as you said, or as we're talking about, size matters. Size matters, and you have to know the size ahead of time. The other thing is arrays. This is in order in memory. This is right next to each other in memory.
It's hard to have something that's like 5 rows, 5 columns, and go, okay, go down a column. Because they're all in a row.
It's called contiguous.
With the vector, you get to go like, all right, here's an x coordinate, here's a y coordinate, here's a 0 coordinate, here's a w coordinate, and get them all.
Well, we can do everything you can do with a vector, or you can do an array, but you have to know the shit ahead of time. Vector, this is an array. When we get to vectors, it'll have the J here, and in memory, it can point to E somewhere else, and it can point to F over here, and fuck it, the last E could be even further up. Space got opened up, and it's up there, and so like this is the letters are sequential, but not in space. But not in memory space. So that's a perk of doing vectors.
Do you ever need to look at like how the computer stores a thing, as long as we just know how to get to it? If you go with the 5th thing in this path that this vector is describing.
If it's when you're going end game shit, you can optimize shit to run faster. If everything's nice and orderly and it knows exactly where everything is and doesn't have to search for it.
But that's for if you're making a video game where you need to get a certain number of frames per second. Not
more like, yeah, you don't need it for anything in this class. So we're not doing vectors yet. Vectors have all the things you're going, fuck, arrays got a lot of limitations. Vectors fix them, but they come at like a work cost. It takes more to do. Not really a whole lot more though. We'll get to vectors later. But let's run our for loop. I think I made it too high. I know I made it too high. So this is running. That's doing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all less than 5. So it's doing the null terminator, which doesn't show on the screen. So I probably should have just done 4. I think the big point there was to show that you can use a for loop and a variable to access the different indices or positions, which is nice. In fact, it's really nice. Because like, let's say we wanted to make an array. We're gonna make an integer array. And we're gonna call them the squares, my squares. And we gotta use brackets. And I'm gonna just tell them what they are at first. So that I don't need to calculate how much the size or anything. And I can do a for loop here. And I'm gonna do a C out for these. So C out, we'll say I squared is my squares I.
That'd be useful for if you have like, you want to make something that's spit out this many squares. They put that in, and it's like, all right, it's an array this long, and then you can run it that many times, and it stores all of them.
Wait. Say that again?
If you have it so that it counts how many squares do you want to put in, and the person puts in a number, and then it sets a constant integer to be that number, and then you have a for loop. Then you declare an array with that number of entries, and then you have a for loop that does that, where I is less than the number of entries you want.
I like what you're thinking, but the problem is, I'll show you right now without running it. If I do constant n, it's already mad because it doesn't have a value.
Say like Cn is new constant integer n.
I would be really surprised if it allowed this. No. So arrays, you have to know the size before runtime. These are really good questions. That's good to, can it? It's good to check. That's one great thing about programming. You can fucking try. And it'll tell you right away, no, jackass, you can't do that. Or congratulations, level up. That's a fucking valid thing. In this case, it gave us the no, jackass, learn how to code, which is fine. Till you start slapping it around for being rude. All right, so did I code this up correctly? If I run this, is it going to say the right thing? Oh, what?
Null at the end of the array. Is that?
I could. What? Is that other Visual Studio V code or whatever allowing you to do it?
I put.
You're doing the other one, right?
I'm doing it so that I'm seeing any a regular integer, and then I'm setting that integer to a constant and seeing if that works. It does. Yeah, it works. But
Oh, I'll check that out here. N CNN const int NN equals N.
Yeah. So I guess there's like a way around it.
Let's look at that in a second. Yeah, maybe that works.
That seems,
Did you actually hit run and then check it?
yeah, it ran.
That seems like some bullshit.
Yeah, that does seem like some BS.
You don't have to just have the input be the constant. You have to have an integer, and And then the integer is the input, and the constant is the integer.
Is this gonna print out the correct line?
No, because when you take C out I plus one, or it's gonna say 0 squared is one.
I did not have the right index notation going on. Because I starts at 0, 0 squared was gonna be 0. So there's a couple ways to fix this. I can do I plus 1 here.
I squared is I minus one. But then you also have to do.
But well, if I do I squared minus 1, I don't have 0. I don't have 0 in this.
Yeah, that would be weird.
So like I wouldn't be showing the correct things. So I plus 1 is an option there. Another option is just starting at 1 rather than 0. And then I need to go all the way up to the 6. So I'll say less than or equal to 6 to include the 6.
And you have to have the I squared is my squared of I minus one, otherwise it's gonna say one squared is 4.
You're right. I'm off by 1, aren't I? Yeah, because I want to access I wouldn't hit the 0th element without doing that. If I start at 1, you're going to have to do a plus or minus 1 somewhere. There's no dodging that shit with C++ because the array starts at 0. The only way you dodge that shit, or the indexes start at 0, the only way to dodge that shit is have a 0 in your array as the first element. Yeah, you will until you figure it out. You eventually learn to, you'll run it, you won't submit shit until you've run it. Always test the shit when you're running it. 1, 2, 4, nice, well played. Okay. Oh.
You do the thing.
But it doesn't work with arrays. Like I tried putting n inside of an array and it doesn't work. It is a constant integer, but it's saying it isn't.
Yeah, while we can do it, it won't let us use it for an array. See you getting mad?
Are there other uses for constant integers?
Yeah. When you don't want people touching your shit and changing it.
Yeah.
Constant in anything, constant doubles. When you don't want it to be changed past go. Like pi.
So perhaps this program allows exceptions in other areas, but not with arrays in particular.
Right, arrays, this is a limitation on arrays. A size must be known ahead of time. No matter how we tried to finagle it, even doing our custom insert n as a non-constant and then make it a constant. As soon as it recognizes pre-run time, it says that's some bullshit. You're fucking trying to cheat. And it said no.
So the solution is to make a couple thousand arrays at the start, one for each length, and then you.
Well, one thing to do is don't use arrays if you need something that changes.
Yeah.
In fact, that's just flat out. That's gold. That's the gold standard right there. If you know something is not changing, arrays work just fine. If there's no reason for something to change, arrays work just fine. All right. What else do I want to do here? Let's see. I'm going to do. Oh. I could do this again. I could say my squares bracket I minus 1 equals I squared. That's not I squared. I times I is I squared. And I should be able to do the same thing again. I squared, we'll say recalculated.
So all increase to 0 in the test. See that? Yep, this is square root is 0. Wait a minute. No, we just checked, and I times I is this. Make sure it actually does rewrite it.
Oh, we can make sure it rewrites it by let's see, just changing what we do. I could do I plus 1 times I plus 1. So this will be, let's just say squared shifted. Because it's not gonna be, it's not gonna match up right. So you can see that, I get what you're saying. Did it actually work? Another way to do it without doing that bullshit. Let's put this back to I times I. Is real quick, just say my squares. It's kind of like what you were saying. Minus 1 equals 0. So it shifts to 0 first, then it recalculates. That would work. And now it should be correct. And so it's all lined up correctly. So we can use it, this index, our for loops to populate arrays. That's where I was going with this. So for loops can populate arrays. Or print arrays. We did both these the year. So
The second question on the exam easier with the UV rules, so you don't have to go, okay, here's rule 1 and rule 2, and you just have an array of rules.
Yep.
Roll a die, fill each slot with a random number.
So we can do that right now. Let me include C time. And we'll make sure that we seed the random number generator, blah, blah. Seed the random number seed the random number generator with time 0 or null. There we go. It's seeded. So a great way to do the ability score thing that you had on your test. So I'm going to do int ability score. It's size 6. I was trying to put null up there for strings, and that's what was the problem. Only the char array has a null terminator. Integer doesn't have the null terminator. Doesn't need it. So we can do rand. I'll do it in parentheses so it's easy to copy and paste. 1 plus rand mod 6. That gives me 1 die roll. And then 1 plus rand mod 6. And then 1 plus rand mod 6. Oh, wait. I'm going to do this first. And then I'll say ability score for int. I'm going to do this in a loop. For int I equals 1, 0. I less than 6. I plus plus. And I will say ability score I equals 1 run. So this should go through and do each ability score, right? This will populate an array of 6 numbers calculated using 3 6-sided die. In D&D talk, that is called 3d6. What you did is called 46 drop lowest or minus lowest. And then we could do a C out with this. So I can make a string array. We'll call it abilities. And we'll just start naming what they are. Strength. I'm gonna go 3 letters. Con. Dex. Int. Wisdom. Charisma. And now to see what our stats are. I less than 6. I plus plus. See out abilities bracket I. We can either have an equal sign. I'm just gonna do a colon with a space. And then I'll do ability score I. Our character stats. Now let's see what our random bit gets us. I need to end that for loop. I know you guys are gonna need a little longer to write that up, but I'm just gonna run it and put it over here. Yeah, we got a 15. So for creating Dungeons and Dragons characters with this 3 6-sided dice, the lowest score is 3 1s is a 3. The highest score is 3 6s is an 18. And they say average is in the middle is like a 10 or 11. We can actually show this. So we're gonna let's make a score array. We'll do int score, and I'm gonna say 19. this covers 0 through 18. So what we're going to do is, and I'll make a quick int sum or int die roll. And we'll do like for int j, oh, fuck it, we can keep using I equals 0, I less than 100,000, I plus plus. I'm going to say die roll equals, and rather than retype that, I'm going to come up here and grab this. So it's going to calculate the die roll. And then we're going to push, we're going to make die roll increment by 1, whatever one it equaled. So like, let's say we rolled a 7, it's going to go into square 7. Wait, I want to do die roll plus 1 because I want die roll 7 to go in the 8th square. We'll do plus equals 1. Plus equals 1. I think I'm going to need to do a quick for loop and make sure that's set to 0 first, though. Square bracket I equals 0. We want to start off at 0. So like the idea here is we roll a 7, score 8 shows. Score 8 goes up by 1. Because pictorial, let me stop running whatever it's doing there. Pictorially, I'll just do a shorter array real quick. Like let's say score is like this. And this is box 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this goes up to 19 or 18. I roll a 7. I roll let's say a 5. I want it to do plus 1 in the 5 box. If I do plus 1 in the 5 box, this is position 6. There might be an easier way to do this, but this is what I have in my head. I know there's an easier way to do this. Just do the shift at the end. Yeah, let's do the shift at the end. I'm only going to do score up to 18. And we'll do the shift at the end. We'll do just regular die roll right here. So this will track back int number of rolls. if I want to make this bigger later on, I'm gonna just change this right now and have a better for loop. What happened to the fucking? Track the rolls or number of rolls, tosses of the dice. And then we can do a quick see out. Not a quick see out. We can do a for loop. And so I changed this. I had it putting roll 5 goes into four. If I look at the picture, roll 5 goes into 4. So if I want to do a see out later on, like the first number I want to print out is I'm checking how many 3s were rolled. That's going to be tracked in 3 would go right here because that's 5, that's 4. So this is the actual die roll sum right here. 3, 4, 5. It's off by 1. I need to see out score 2. So I can do for int. Fuck. Got a lot of red up there. I wonder why. I'm gonna have to figure that out in a second. For int I equal, we'll start at 3. That's the first number that we want to track. We say I less than or equal to 18. We want to track that. That's our top number, I plus plus. We'll see out die total of I had score, wait, I need a thing here. Score I minus 1 tosses, or yeah, tosses. Why is this being all pissy?
I think it's just your idea.
I'm coming up here just making sure I didn't fucking screw something up here. Yeah, it's all the see outs are being pissy. It's just my IDE being screwy. So the idea here is a roll of 3 is stored in 0, 1, 2. So it's showing me the 2 entry. Got too many S's and tosses right there. I'm gonna run it real quick. That's a quick way to see what the hell is really wrong. So we rolled 100,000 tosses of the die. 3 sets of 6, added them up. We got 0 3s. This is a little off. Yeah, I need to go up to 19. I'm not showing the final one. I'm going to change that to 4. I'm going to do I minus 1 here. I was missing the final one. 10 and 11 should be the highest values. We shouldn't have gotten a 0. We should have rolled a 3 at least once out of 100,000 times. Jesus Christ. So let's try this. So a 3 at it's up here. Try that again. Change my score to hold 19. It's pulling wonky data.
Oh, your forward, go back to, yeah, the 18 was fine. I think it was just the forward that was yeah, the 18 was fine. The forward was probably just the 18, right? If we wanted to just be. No, the forward has to be 19. I think.
Which for loop? There's
That one, yeah, that one. I think that one should really, because that goes, right, yeah, it is going to.
this covers 0 through 17. I don't.
It's 17, then.
Okay, so it needs to come to, we need to figure out what we're doing here. So we get a die roll of 3. We say score 3 goes up 1. Score 3, a die roll of 3. I'll bring up my camera again. Die roll of 3 goes into score 2. A die roll of 18 is the 17th, because we got the 0 as the first number. So if I'm doing 3 to 18, I need to go from 4 to 19. If we're subtracting 1. Nope. I'm subtracting 2. Let's try that. I think I have an extra number there now. Something's pissed. What's pissed off now? What broke? Or was it just being a bitch? Yeah, it's just being a bitch. But again, it's still not, it's not showing me the final one, which means these are all off.
I think you mean by, it makes more sense to have it at 1 and 0, because you have to calculate.
So this is doing 0 to 17. This is 0 to 17. Oh, 19 minus 2 is 17. Maybe try 20 there? Am I off in my head? I don't know. We need another seat. We need some space there between the character stats before. Nope. It's not populating. It's got 11 and 12 are the highest. And it shouldn't be. It should be 10 and 11. So something's off in how I'm doing my assignments, or what I'm saying here.
Why is it highlighted green on the radio?
What?
I have this figuring, reading about it. The diamond would be 26, 18.
I get 3 to 18.
Oh, but that gets you 18. 18 doesn't exist, it's just up to 17. So it'd be diamond -1 on the score.
Or I do this up to 19 like I wanted to do in the fucking first place.
Yeah.
Like I tried to do, and you said, no, 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 don't do that. Yeah, but now this is showing the wrong number here. This is I -2. No, it's not. It's just I. I don't know. Let's figure it out. It's now it's showing all the damn numbers. Nope. That needs to be, I don't need to show that one.
Can we fix line number 91 to make it to like 0 and then just I is equal to 0 and that would be up to 16?
Yeah, that's another way of doing this. I less than or equal to,
16? Wait, no, because then.
are you trying to do,
For 17 times, are we trying to do 19 for?
there's 18, so it should be less than, if I'm gonna do the less than or equal to, I need the 17. So rather than doing I can go I plus 3, because that way die roll of 3. And that is gonna be in score I plus 2. And I don't need to go up to 17. I need to go up to 2 lower than that. 15. That might work. That might be the better way of doing it, fixing the indices. Let's see how that helped. MFer. Just needs to be, say, 1 higher. Nope. That's not what needs to change. I need to start accessing 1 higher. So this needs to be 1 higher. The fuck? That needs to be 1 higher. And I think that means we got to go 1 lower. I didn't hit stop run. So that's going to give me hell. Let's try that again. Yeah, I didn't go high. Now let's go up to 15. There we go. Here we go. Finally. So if I change it to be like 1,000,000 rolls, and I'm going to put a little slash tab so that all the numbers line up. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how that looks. I made it 1,000,000 rolls. So 10 and 11 had 124,000. 9 and 12 had only 115, 16,000. You can see this is doing a bell curve. Dice rolls 3d6 follows the standard bell curve with 10 and 11 right in the middle. And then 3 is way down here and 18 is way up here. So I forget who emailed me that was new to D&D, but said, I got 2 18s in a row. That sounded pretty good. Yeah. You can see the probability of this happening. What is the probability? Let's show the probability. Let's take it even go a higher roll. Let's do 10 million, just so we get that bell curve going nice the way we want it. And then I could say, I won't put an end line here. I'm gonna just put that so I can do the next part of the C out on the next line with a probability of, and I want score I plus 3, which is the number of times we threw it, divided by number of rolls. And I'm gonna multiply this by 1.0, so it forces it to be a double.
Kind of like with the multiplier.
It'd be fun to have like, instead of this guy had this many tosses, you cut a period and subtract a certain number from the total that times that it rolled that, and then keep doing that, and then in the line go to the next one, and then you get to see the bell curve.
That is way too much work for a lecture presentation. I gotta make sure we get through arrays, but maybe if we got time at the end, we can dabble with that. I see what you're saying. Make it like a sideways bell curve.
Yeah.
Ugh, there we go. Took a little while. So at 10 and 11, you got like a 12.5% chance of getting each of those. The probability of getting the lowest score or the highest score is less than 0.5%. And you'll notice these are pretty close to each other. I bet if I make it like 15 million, it's not going to change it much. In fact, let's dumb this down. Let's go down to 1,000 and show what it looks like for 1,000. This is actually something you should know. So for 1,000, we got a 0.006. Here on 10, we got a 0.138. On 11, we had a 0.119. In fact, 9's got a higher score than the 11. And so that's what happens if I only do 1,000 rolls. It's not as accurate. If I do 10,000 rolls, it's still not there yet. This is 0.035. These are both below 4. They were 4 or 5 a second ago. This is a little high. It's exactly what this is called, the law of large numbers. So when we go big, the law of large numbers is the more times you do something, the more times you do a probability event, the closer to the true probability that you get. We could calculate using the fucking binomial probability. I forget what it's called. There's a way to calculate what each of these is with the actual score. What we're doing is an empirical model, simulating dice rolls and seeing what we would get. But the more experiments you do, the closer simulation or experimentation gets to the actual. It's called the law of large numbers. This seems like we should do this. We haven't talked about it yet. How to pass this. Let's make this a print function. So I want to be able to say print probability. That's what I'm going to call it. And I want to be able to pass it my die roll array. I want to be able to pass it die roll, which is an integer. I need to pass it number of rolls because it's using both of those. Yeah, is it using die roll in there? No, it's using score. It's taking score. It's taking number of rolls. And we actually need the size of the score array, which is 19. I'm actually going to make that a constant real quick. Constant size score equals 19. I'm going to change this to say size score. And we'll change this to say size score. Now, this is what I want to happen. Now I need to code that. So that's the command I'm going to do. So pass in the score array, total tosses, because it needs it for this calculation right here. And it needs the size of the actual array. I'll give everyone a second to type that, and then we'll go prototype it. Oh, fuck it, we'll go implement it first. We're right near the bottom. You know what? I'm gonna get rid of this run again bullshit. I didn't use it once. Thought I was gonna use it. I didn't. What the fuck? Just randomly doing whatever the hell it wants. So I want to make a probability function here. It doesn't have a return. It's going to take this in. And this is an int array. This is an int. And this is a const int. Why is it expecting a parentheses? And I'm going to take this and just drop that right in there. It might be. It very well might be. So I just copied and pasted my print function in there. You need to, the barest minimum for doing one of these is for like when you're passing in an array to a function, you must pass the array, of course, and the size of the array, generally as a constant. And I need to go prototype it, but I don't want to do that until everybody's got a chance to type that.
I don't like how the arrays in C++ they have a, they do kind of have like a length feature, like dot size feature, but
We've done address of, haven't we already? To use the ampersand sign in this class? Have we shown that at all? Does,
Ampersand is an and, right?
yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Like if I did ampersand X, have we seen something like that yet? Yeah. Okay. So I'll show you guys something new here. Let's make sure we get this running first though. I'm gonna go prototype this up top. All the way up. I don't have that function anymore, but I got this function. What the? Do you want me to put it over here?
Oh,
It used to not matter. It wants us to put the brackets after score. There we go. Now it's not so moody. All right, we're gonna hit run and see it again. This one took a while to calculate. So for those of you that play D&D, don't shake your head no. Just if you don't play, don't play. If you play D&D, you can see the probability of getting the score using the natural method. For funsies, go in and implement doing the drop lowest method and see how the probability changes. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday night. Let's do that on Tuesday night. Let me make a note of that. On Tuesday night, we'll compare this with the 4D6 method that you did for the test. Anybody need this part up longer? Okay, I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna comment out a bunch of this shit we did above. So quits doing this, the C out. Don't need all that. Don't need this. Here, I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to make this a print string array. And so I'm going to pass in sentence array. And I'm going to pass in the 4. And we're going to make a function real quick. Using this. So let me prototype this up top. We're going to do a void print string array. I'll just do string array bracket and then constant size. That'll be our prototype. And we'll copy this, take it down below. And I want to go grab that print function I was doing. So I'm going to go strip mine it from my thing right here, right there. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to come down here, throw it in here. And rather than saying I less than 4, I'm going to say I less than size. And this should say array. So now we got an array that, or a print function for a string array. But I wanted to show you something else. I think the char array is the better one to do it on. So we're going to make one that does a char array too. Let's just call it print char array. Should literally have the same setup, just not a string here, a char.
Call it Prince Charming.
I like that. Let me go prototype it real quick. And I'm going to go to where we're doing it. Where is it? We want to put it here. I want to put a colon, semicolon. And I want to do it on Charmy1. So I will do, we'll do a print char array. We're going to pass in me1 and the 5. And then I'm going to do a C out end line real quick. Ooh, did pause break like this where I could put in a pause? I think so. I think that's the command for making a pause break. Nope. What's a pause break? Is it just pause with no break? System pause. No, that doesn't seem right either. Apparently it is. So I will do that real quick. Let's end that one. Let's come in here. That way, before it runs the probability stuff, I'm going to lower this back down so it doesn't take a while to run that. And we were gonna, what I wanted to show you, we'll do that real quick. Show that it prints the arrays that we're passing in. So it printed out Hefe, 1 character at a time. Printing out David is professor, 1 thing at a time. And I'm gonna end it there. I don't want to show the whole, this thing. Let's comment that out. And doing the character 1 character at a time on each line seemed kind of stupid. So maybe we shouldn't have the end line here. That's a good thing. Although, what we could do here, I'm going to show you how to see where it's stored out in memory. And I'm going to use ampersand array I. And now I will do an inline.
That might be tough for this.
So it's called the address in the memory. And the way the computer stores it, give you another 30 seconds to type that up. There we go. I see fingers still moving.
Hefe, what's the print string array in the main?
We did that with me too, I think.
Okay,
Sentence array.
all right, thanks.
Fucking didn't do references. What is this bullshit? The fuck is this? Not dereference. It didn't show the address of.
Oh, I see what it's doing. It's like, it points at the J and then it prints everything after it, and then it iterates over at the E and it prints everything after it.
But that's not what
Yeah.
ampersand's supposed to do.
Yeah, which-
It fucking broken? It's broken.
Maybe it's like, it's a parentheses problem.
Maybe. Nope. See where it says press any key to continue? That was the system pause I put in earlier. On the screen, it makes them hit the keyboard to continue. This is sucking. Why is this not going here?
That system pause, does it only work with Windows or does it work with?
What?
Because I know like the, sometimes it only works with that with certain,
Why wouldn't it work on a char array?
no, the system pause system.
I got that written wrong. What is your question?
The system work with any, like, does it work with Mac as well? Because I know like.
I have no idea. I don't have a Mac. I couldn't test it, so
Yeah.
it might be a Windows thing. That you might need to do a pause break there or something like that. Why? I have no idea why this is not showing the right thing. Nope. I think I passed char 4. No, I passed it a 5. Do I need to pass it like this? Make it a chart like that. Let me try that. Wasn't that how you did it? Where do I put the ampersand here? There? No. In front of the chart? If I want to pass it. This has got me all flustered.
Is this just a regular integer?
To work with what?
Regular integers? Like, just like- without the array?
So like, so if I had an integer array, it would work?
Checking.
Is that what you? Well, after we have an integer array up here. I can go look at it. I can uncomment this. Let's uncomment that. And let's go, let's change this. Comment off that line. And I'll add right here. And is, oh, I need to make it a statement. And is stored in ampersand my squares bracket I. Okay, it's doing it there. So this is giving me an address and it's in hexadecimal format. Hexadecimal format is fucking like impossible for humans to read. So if you don't want to see it in hex, that's weird because it's doing it correctly here. If you want to see like it as a better way, when you want to see an address, cast it as an integer. So at this line right here, /int, let me start with this. The address of my squares, the ampersand thing means show the memory address of that value. And it's going to show it, shows in hexadecimal. And if we cast, this is called casting as an integer. When I say integer, ampersand my squares I, it says take hexadecimal and rewrite it as an integer. Hexadecimal numbers as integer numbers, which is base 10. Hexadecimal is base 16. So they go 0 through 9. And then A, B, C, D, E, F. So when I click run here, it's gonna, we just saw that it did the hexadecimal address. When you do it here, that clock is way the fuck off. Like 10 minutes off. We can see each integer stored as a unit of 4. These are all 4 apart. If you look at them, you can see that they're stored in sequential memory and that each integer takes up 4 bytes. We'll do more with this stuff throughout the semester doing addresses. I just wanted to introduce it to you. And then we'll compare the 4D6 with the 3D6 Tuesday night at 7:15. It will be recorded if you can't make it. It'll be on Zoom. So it'll be on Zoom at 7:15. We'll go over it and I'll record it if no one, hopefully someone joins me. So I'm not talking to myself. 7:15 on Tuesday night. I'll put an announcement about it. And other than that, have a good day. I hope to see you at Friday Night Lab.
This for the address, for the chart, right? It just looks kind of funny. I was wondering if you might know what's wrong with it. I've never
It's
seen
doing the
that.
same shit.
Yeah, but it's not like these weird.
Is it still
characters.
going out of bounds on it?
No, it's not
See your
giving me an
code.
error. Just a really simple. But it's add 3, but like that was for a different thing that I was testing.
Take
out.
care. Yeah, I'm getting the same, I'm getting a problem too. It's just doing its own fucking thing all of a sudden.
Yeah, but it works with like regular numbers. It's just the bars or the arrays.
I just did array, but I didn't do it as a function.
Yeah.
I did it in the main and it did it just fine.
That's weird.
I used arrays to do question 2 again, and it's now it holds all 6 stats, and then it sorts them by how big they are.
Fun.
And you get them in this.
Oh, could it be because since you're not, you know how like it's making a copy of it when you're using a function? Like a regular function without the-
Right, but even the copy should have an address.
Yeah, maybe it's, I was gonna say maybe it's a temporary like address or something.
All right, Olympiad. See ya.
Thank you. Guess what I found out?
What?
Only one team makes it from state to national.
Well, yeah.
One team.
Well, that makes, there's 50 fucking states. How many teams you want showing up at the
Still,
national conference?
That's what, 0.02%, even lower than that. You making it, if there's like, what, 50 teams? 'Cause there's
Is it for each category, one team?
no, just, you know,
One team to rule them all for your entire school?
that's crazy. No, because I also do FBLA, this is right? As many people can make this, as many people. can make this. This was on like less than a 1% chance of even making it to nationals. Because you gotta understand, some teams, they have like doctors, engineers, they have like
Right.
labs.
So nationals, what subjects are they focusing on to send you to nationals? Because
Every-
optics is very fucking specific.
Yeah, so it's to go like move on to state or even nationals, it has to be a combination of everything, so it's. team
Right.
points. So you have. to
Is your
score-
entire team like, so it's not like, see in my head, the ones that go do like the science trivia questions
Yeah,
are not the same ones that go do the trivia. In my head, those are different teams. Is that all one team?
that's just all, yeah.
Okay, so like everybody, so just one school gets to go to
Yeah.
nationals.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I don't like that, that's.
Why? You don't think you can win?
No,
Why?
I've seen some schools that they literally have classes dedicated to science and Olympiad. And their like advisors are some kind of doctor or some kind of engineer. It's wild.
That doesn't mean shit.
That means they have more practice, they have more time, they have more resources. We didn't even get funding, like I had to like beg the district to give us funding.
All right, so there's a movie you need to watch, and I need to ask my wife what it was called. Because she was watching it while I was doing something else, and I stopped what I was doing, and I was watching it. It was something doing this was a robotics competition, and it was a community college team that it was trying to attend a university fucking competition, and they weren't going to let the community college in. It might have even been a high school team trying to compete with. I think it was a high school team trying to compete in college competitions. And they're like, sure, you can get in if you can find fucking support in this. And they thought they were going to be underdog. They ended up doing really well. And I think they ended up winning at one point. I got to see what it's called.
That's, okay,
Don't just assume because your advisor is not some fucking PhD fucking physicist, mathematician, scientist, engineer, capable of doing everything. Because let's face it, your fucking team has tests in all areas.
yeah.
No one's master of all areas. Take the fucking test. I don't want to fucking sit here and watch you all day.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, can I see the line that had the address on it?
Yeah,
Did it say struct or?
right here. So we use the ampersand to do addresses.
The address. I also had a question on the test that we took the other day. I had gotten wrong. That do loop and for loop can create like a one. I think I forget what the question was. Let's see. Let me look real quick. It was.
I haven't graded it yet, so I can't give you specifics.
Okay. But I might leave a little note on it. It was something simple like when looping structures will always be performed, brace code at least one time. And I put that like you can do that with a for loop, even though you probably wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, we could always go over it later.
Wasn't that a multiple choice fucking quiz?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But I was thinking like you could technically, I think you could perform like a code at least where it's like looped one time still on a for loop. But if I got it wrong, it's fine. But I was just like thinking maybe technically you can do a do loop on a for loop. You get what I'm saying? Like it'll run like
Yeah, but that's one of them's designed for it.
right.
I was asking what's designed for it.
Right. Okay, so yeah, I get that. So for loops are definitely designed for multiple loops, and do loops are just for the one time loop.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. All right, that's fair. And then for the part that's the address you used the ampersand, you didn't use struct, right?
No, struct, we have not covered structures yet.
Okay. Okay.
Getting it. I'm going back to it. It's right here. It's just an ampersand sign.
So it's just int and my squares,
Yep.
and
The my squares I is the same my squares I we were doing over here. Maybe I should do my squares I minus ones to match what I was doing over here.
and for
But this gives us the value in I minus one. The
Mhm.
ampersand gives us the address of that value.
And I just so I'm sure about this on line 60, output parameters is 4, input parameters are everything inside the parentheses, right?
Say what?
For line 60, right there, like my output parameter would be the 4, and my input parameters are everything inside the
There
parentheses.
is no 4 on this line. I don't know what you're talking about.
Where it says 4, the highlighted 4.
Oh, that 4. Okay. So say your question again.
That's considered a output parameter, the 4.
It's
Or is that
considered a loop.
a loop? Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be considered like my parameters for that line?
I as a parameter.
Uh-huh. So just I?
Yeah.
Okay. And the 4 is more considered you
But
said
it's a loop. It's like a while loop. It's a
loop.
loop.
So it's basically like a function.
Effectively.
Okay.
It's a built-in function that allows you to loop.
Okay. And then the while one, that one that one's really only used in times can you explain that one a little more?
While you could use in a lot of places. Anytime you want something to keep running until you find it meets the criteria where it doesn't run. You will see it throughout this fucking semester and next semester too.
Yeah.
We use while things for a lot.
Yeah, no, I've seen that we used it a few times like during the for loops. But we usually don't use it until the end. So all right.
Right. I'd have to contrive a situation right now to go over a while loop.
Right.
Do it in the next lecture and squeeze something in for it.
Okay. No worries. Thank you for lecture on today. Are you going to FNL tonight?
Yep.
All right. See you there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sure.